Hello, everyone. My name is Kyle Benson. I am an intentionally intimate relationship coach, and today I have a lovely guest named Brianna McWilliam, and we are going to be talking about really the difficult decision of do I stay or do I go, and really diving deep into the decision-making process around relationships. Brianna, I'm going to go ahead and have you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about kind of the work you do.
Sure. Well, my name is Brianna McWilliam, and I am an author, educator, and licensed creative arts therapist. I've been in the field for about 13 years now, and I am just wild about helping adults in their romantic relationships go from feeling insecure or kind of lost and fearful to calling in the soul-shaking partnerships that they want. And ideally without having to talk in circles around their feelings for hours or even years on end with no tangible result. And I do this with a psychospiritual approach to creative arts interventions through the framework of attachment theory.
Perfect. And so we'll be talking a lot about attachment theory today. I'll be bringing my lens with couples work and the research behind couples. And so we really wanted to start to talk about this really difficult decision. I mean, sometimes in relationships, you get a clear cutoff that this relationship isn't going to work and this partner isn't a good fit for you. That, and Brianna, please correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like that's not the norm. That doesn't always happen for a lot of us. And we struggle with being with a partner who we're kind of like, this isn't a great relationship. We're kind of struggling a little bit, but we're kind of weighing the pros and cons. Do we stay in this relationship? Should I leave this relationship? And our hope today is kind of to help uncover that process and the difficulty of it. And get you connected with your internal self and how to navigate that. And so, Brianna, maybe you could talk just for a moment on, maybe give us an example or kind of why, one reason why this is such a difficult decision, kind of when someone's stuck in that gray area between, I don't know if I should be all the way in or if I should get all the way out.
Well, it's very tied up in what we value, why we value it, what we prioritize, why we prioritize it, and also our sense of self and how much is our sense of self caught up in those things. So, for example, oftentimes I get the question, I get this a lot actually from married couples who have kids that are thinking about getting divorced, or one partner will contact me saying that divorce is sort of on the table, but they are resisting it because they're, what about the kids kind of thing, or I'm going to lose a lot of money, or it might require a big change in my life in some fashion, and I'm afraid it's going to ruin my kids' lives, or that, you know, my family will hate me forever, or I'm going to lose a lot of money as a result of it. And so that kind of puts you in a position. So what's sort of being demonstrated there is that there is a valuing and a prioritizing of everything outside of you above whatever it is that's going on inside of you. And this is not to say that you shouldn't care about what happens to your kids, you know, and the impact that that will have on them. But to some extent, you know, it's also realizing that remaining in a loveless marriage is not necessarily good parenting either. You know, like, what is it that you are modeling for your children to experience down the road? Would you want for your child to have the marriage that you are having now? And so, you know, children don't follow what you say, they follow what you do. And so that's just a very specific example I'm offering. But basically, we have tied up in those ideas about the loss of something when we are feeling like this may not be for me anymore. We have a lot of fears around external losses, and that we may have to experience a redefinition of self in our contexts in general. And so at the basis of that, if we are feeling a sense of contrast or conflict around it, it's because there's some aspect of you is wanting something from that change in your circumstance. And it may not, this is the thing, you may not need to change your circumstance per se to get that thing. It's just approaching it from a different angle, like I'm like the work that you do with, Gottman, and examining the four horsemen and looking at how you're talking to each other. Maybe changing your communication styles is actually going to allow you to elicit that thing from the relationship you already have. It's just that you don't have the tools or the skills yet, so that you're able to shift what's actually going on in your present circumstance, right? And so sometimes it may require doing what you're already doing, just doing it better. And then once you've realized, yeah, I am doing this the best that I can do, and it's still, I'm feeling this contrast and this conflict, then that's a different question. And that's more of an inward journey where you're looking at, am I in this now because I have a fear that by the end of it, I won't be okay, really? Or that I'm not okay without all these things? Is that really a fear-based place from which I'm operating? And the only way we can know that is if you are able to tune into the self and ask yourself some hard questions about your values, your priorities, what you believe, and what your deepest fears and desires may be.